Hello and welcome to the Wagtail podcast. And today I have a very dear friend, Fee, with me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Brianne. It is such a pleasure to be asked to do this. It's really quite significant for me, and that will probably come out during our conversation. Um, I'm Fee Phillips, Fiona, or Fee, and I'm many things to many people. A mum, a wife, a daughter, a cousin, etc. And one thing I've realised for myself over the last few years, or even the last year, is more than anything, I am a multi-dimensional being having a human experience. And that is key to me.
Thank you very much. Excellent. So let's dive in then. Tell me what your own definition is of wellness and resilience, or just one or the other, up to you.
Yeah, no, wellness for me it's quite, what's a word? Being well. And I really had to ponder this. And what it is for me, ultimately, is love.
Mm.
It is just love. Wellness is loving myself, every cell in my body. Self and cell, I've just realized, are very similar. They spelt differently, but SEL and CEL, double L, obviously, but they sound the same, self and cell. um, so loving every part of me is wellness, and that brings joy, that brings peace, and that brings it just brings knowledge and wisdom and just a sense of balance, really. And emotional balance, a physical balance, mental balance, spiritual balance. So, yeah, wellness for me is love, and it spreads like a ripple out.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good answer. And hopefully you'll tell us at some point as we go in our conversation how you learn to love yourself and all parts of yourself, because that is something that I would love to know. And I'm sure other people will be interested in how you can achieve that, because it's not easy, I don't think.
I'm still working on it, Brianne.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah, it's multi-layered, multifaceted.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Shall I say what resilience
yeah,
is?
go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So resilience basically is the journey to love and loving yourself. And it's starting to remember that we're having a human experience and things are happening for us to grow.
Mhm.
Resilience is being here on this planet, in this body. It's remembering the tools or accessing tools for growth, for learning, for expanding. And it's like we're in this earth school in this physical form.
Yeah.
And resilience is being a witness to everything that happens here. And to me, it's watching and witnessing the emotions that come up, the triggers, the patterns, it's identifying things, slowly but surely peeling back those layers, and just coming into yourself, really.
And I can't help but notice you've said that with a huge smile on your face.
Ah,
Why is it? Tell me what's behind the smile there, because I love it. I love that you've been able to smile through that, because most people find that word and what happens with resilience just really tough. So tell me how you smile through that word.
Because it's a journey of self-discovery, and through that journey there are ups and downs, and in fact coming to it on a big low in life is your wake-up call, and everything is valid. Everything that happens is valid and important, and working with what we have at the time, at that moment in time, is really precious. Because, like I said before, it's like an onion, peeling back the layers, and you can only reveal the stuff that's on the outer layer at first. But just taking time to witness what's happening, to have an acceptance. I think, honestly, acceptance is huge, 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 huge. Without it, I think I'd be dead. I think.
Okay.
I think it's that severe. Yeah, I really think acceptance, ultimate acceptance, brings you into the now, or has brought me into the now, and has brought me the ability to self-observe and then reflect what's going on here, what is happening, and then let it integrate. And then when it integrates, you feel a bit stronger. You feel like maybe I've let go of something, or you have a ping moment. Yeah, I am really controlling. I have to be in control all the time. What's that about? Why? Why can't I let little things go? So, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make an effort. It's very small, but to let things go and actually receive some help, not be micromanaging everybody doing stuff, because I think they can't do it as well as me. You know, it's that was the start. I think I had to, well, for the podcast, I became extremely ill 6 years ago, and to the point where I needed help to get washed and dressed. I couldn't lift my arm up, so I couldn't brush my hair. And swallowing was very difficult. Even keeping my head up was difficult. Turning in bed was difficult. Holding a bath towel was heavy. Life was suddenly very different from the go go go, and it turned out that I had have an autoimmune condition. So, you know, I it was shocking, Brianne. It was very, very shocking, and was shocking to my family and friends, I think, too.
Yeah, I remember that moment.
Yeah, it was a bit, whoa, what's going on? And yeah, I didn't know really. I couldn't understand. But obviously, for me, well, I say obviously, but it was definitely right. You need to rest now. The body has said no, no
Mm-hmm.
more. Um, and and I needed to start listening again, because and I had no choice. I had absolutely no choice. But one thing that happened about 3 weeks after I got diagnosed with this dermatomyositis that I have, which affects the muscles and skin. I had a real intuition that this was meant to be, that I had signed up for this somehow, that it was my wake up call. It was my call to come back into my heart. And because I had that feeling, that kind of, my intuition was telling me this is for me, this is not a fight, it's not a fight, then I could accept.
Mm-hmm.
And that acceptance was a relief. It was such a relief. And I realized that, yeah, I can work with this. I can work with it. And I can get through this.
How? Because I'm really interested in this, because you said that your body said no, and this has got a real correlation with Gabor Mate's work. Because Gabor Mate basically says that autoimmune disease comes from trauma of some sort, trapped trauma in the body, and it's not until that you transform the relationship with yourself that you can possibly begin to heal from that. And what else he says that's interesting is that 80% of autoimmune diseases affect women, because it's the women that seem to have these multiple roles, the ones that are people pleasers, the ones that are all go, 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 they're the mothers, they're looking after everybody. I just wonder if you resonate with that.
Yeah, completely resonate with it. As a child, I was an only child, and I had quite a strange upbringing. My parents owned, and we lived in the flat above a residential care home for elderly people that had Alzheimer's and dementia, and were very, very poorly ultimately. So I was in a kind of strange environment. And my mum was working all the time, 12 hours a day, every 6 days a week, and on call through the night, through that seventh day as well. So she wasn't around a lot. And my father, my dad, who had hemophilia, so he was disabled, he was my sort of primary care person, and would take me to school, pick me up, get me ready, da di da. And they loved me. They loved me so much. Yet there's a sense of abandonment, a sense of pleasing them because they worked hard, because he was disabled. I remember things that I did when I was a child. There's one, I have to tell you this, Brianne, because, and other people, because it's something that I've remembered recently, that when I was 3 or 4, I woke up in the middle of the night. It would be about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd move the books from the bookshelf so I could get to the wall, and I would scribble a fire. That's what I had in my head. It's like a fire. And I'd start chanting and singing to this fire. And I remember doing it a few times and obviously woke up my parents. I'm like, what are you doing? Chanting. Doing my little chant. No, you can't do that. You're waking everybody up. Go back to bed. And more than the action of that, I remember the feeling of that.
Mm.
That feeling of, oh, I can't express myself. And that is part of the human condition, being in this physical form as a female. And yeah, I resonate greatly. There were other traumas. I think I had a very difficult time when I was 6 at school. Again, you know, it was kind of, you're not good enough kind of message.
Mm-hmm.
I had to transition to a different class, very awkward and embarrassing because it was announced to the whole class at the same time. The first time I heard about it was when it was announced to everybody. My parents lied to me about it. You know, so there was a lot that, it's not a horrible trauma that I've experienced. But it's still trauma for me as a sensitive person, as
Yeah.
a soul, you know, having this physical experience again, it's traumatizing. And so that I identified that in my early 20s, but I still feel that I'm working through it now.
Mm-hmm.
The other really interesting thing, and I'll tell you, I've always known that I'm more, you know, my dreams have been epic. My intuition has guided me a lot through my life. You know, I'm a hippie, I'm cosmic. I've always kind of been that way. But even when I decided to go against my intuition, I realized, you know, it's interesting what happened. But what I wanted to say, so when I was pregnant with this absolutely wanted child that was, you know, late in my life, it was a struggle to get there. I was 41, or 40 actually, when I got pregnant. So it was late. But by which time I had already done a lot of practice in yoga. I'd done a meditation course called Vipassana Silent Retreat for 10 days, which was incredible. So, you know, I was really making the best for my baby's environment, eating well, doing all the good things, yoga, etc. Hypnobirthing, amazing. He came at home really quickly, really safely, unexpectedly, and it was wonderful. But something happened. There was trauma in that birth. Something really strange happened, and I realized a few weeks later that my heart center, that had been wide open to receiving this amazing child coming in, it had shut. My heart center had shut, and I don't know why that happened. Here was my baby, everything that I'd wanted, and yet I knew something had happened. Huge thing had happened, and this And I was kind of trying to ignore it. Oh, it's okay. It will come. And I love my child. I've always loved him. It didn't, I say it didn't stop me from loving him and giving him love. Only he knows, really. It might have. But the thing, yeah, it was a really, really strange thing. So being a little bit old, looking after a baby, life-changing experience, having to be awake at night. And, the first few months was great because I wasn't working, thank goodness. But then going back to social work, where we worked together, lots of things had changed at work. The dynamic had changed. I was part-time, which was stressful because you still have a lot to do in less time. And, the pressures of not having family around to kind of help out, really. And me and my husband, we decided to be, we didn't put Ben into a nursery. We organised it between ourselves, but that put a pressure on me to get out of work, to come home so that my husband could work. So there was that pressure, that lack of sleep, wanting to do the right thing, being a vegetarian, and then realising that actually this is quite hard work, keeping myself fed and keeping my child fed. But I was very, I'd been a veggie for donkey's years, and I wasn't going to give that up. But what I found as well was buying in more food that was processed, really. Veggie processed food. And that was okay at the time. But the stress was mounting up. The lack of sleep, the lack of nutrition, proper proteins and things, all started to mix in this pot of me. And work was extremely stressful. You left our team. So we had 25 people in our team, and all my people left, which was really hard. And new people were coming. And in the 1 year, I counted 34 people moves. So 34 moves. So that's either people moving out, coming in, moving out again, coming in, moving out, coming in. 34 moves, including managers. And suddenly, where I felt that I was quite a novice in social care, I was then elevated very rapidly to someone who knew what they were doing. How do you work the system fee? How do you do this? How do you do that? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you go out and show them what to do? So there was huge amounts of pressure, plus having to get home on time. Because if I didn't, then that impacted on my husband's work hugely. So, and he would get cross. Not just at the situation.
Yeah.
Just that tension. And then my mum, bless her heart, moved up to be closer. And that, I think, was just one thing she did it virtually all herself, and we found a property, and it all went very smoothly. And she moved in, and then there was suddenly a whole load of expectations placed on me to help her as well. And that was really too much. I think it was just too much with a 3-year-old child. Yeah, it was a lot. And by the kind of Christmas time, I knew I had to change my role, had to get another job, which I managed to do. But I remember during the interview, my nose was streaming. Like they were like, "Oh, have you got a cold?" I was like, "I have not got a cold. For some reason, this is just happening to me." I was just having this response in my body already. There was telltale signs, and I had been to the doctor a few times, but you know, like things like I suddenly got allergic to yogurt. Like it would hurt my tongue. And I'm like, well, you know what it is then, so just avoid it. What do you want us to do? They'd say, don't know, something's not right. But you kind of go away again thinking dismissed.
Yeah.
You're not heard, you're not validated, you're dismissed. So yeah, and then by the Christmas time, Mum and my husband were like, "You're really stressed. We're really worried about you. Think you need to see someone." No, I'm okay. I'm okay, because that is the default position. I have to be okay because I've got my son, I've got my husband, I've got my house to clean, I've got my mum to go shopping for. I've got all these things to do. I'm okay, I can do it. I'm strong. But actually I wasn't, and I was slowly breaking down. And I changed my diet, and I thought, well, this is good. I had a chicken, and I couldn't believe how nice that was to eat again, and like my body really needed that protein. So I had to really change my perspective to be able to eat it. And that took a few months, because I had changed my perspective years and years ago not to eat it. And now actually I think it was actually okay to change back. I needed it ultimately, and I thought, oh, this is great. And I was came off gluten, and that was helping my runny nose and that side of things, and dairy. And I kind of had a choice. I could either be vegan or go back to being meat eater. But I thought actually protein is probably better. And it was. But then it was almost too little too late. And there was a flu bug going around at my new job that I did get. Everybody came down with this flu. I didn't come down with it, but I caught it, and it presented differently in my body. I suddenly felt shaky. My writing, it was difficult to write. My thighs became sore, like I'd been at the gym and worked out, and I hadn't. And then the next day, my arms felt like I'd worked out, but I hadn't. And then the following day, my jaw felt like I'd worked out on my jaw, and it was stiff and sore. I was like, I'm phoning the doctor here. Went in. I could barely walk up there. I was struggling upstairs. Anyway, that was it, and the beginning of it. And interestingly, a couple of days later, my face became red, and I had a rash everywhere, and it was like a sunburn. And yeah, and I correlate that with suppressed anger,
Mm.
suppressed rage. Absolutely, 100%. It was there for everyone to see. I'm so angry, but I couldn't tell them.
And do you know what, Fee? That is also a theme in Gabor Mate's work, specifically anger and not letting it out.
Yeah. So so there we go. For whatever reasons, the trauma, the suppression, the sensitivity of me has, yeah, all led up to getting this autoimmune condition. But like I said before, once I got it, I knew it was for me. This wasn't happening to me. Why is it happening to me? Why me? No, which is a natural response as well. That was like, actually, no, this is for me for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I can work with this. Let's accept. Let's not fight. In fact, I really haven't got the strength to fight anymore. I just need my body to come into peace within, because with an autoimmune, your immune system is rogue and it starts thinking that part of you isn't you, and it starts attacking bits of you that are, it shouldn't. It gets confused. So I thought, well, there's enough fight going on within my body already. I need to just accept and bring peace in.
And that just came to you as just like a thought, an intuition. You didn't have to spend ages reflecting and weighing things up in your head.
No.
Okay.
No. Because, like I said to you before, Brianne, I've always felt my inner spoken like that. It's always been there. I'm a big dreamer. I've had epic dreams. I've made decisions on dreams. So I've always been a listener and a bit of a seeker. I've always known I'm more than just the physical part. And I've always known, because like I just briefly mentioned, when I went against my intuition, I made a complete choice. I had 3 choices and I knew which one I should take and I knew which one I shouldn't. And I'm like, I'm going to take the one I shouldn't take because I'm going to prove that my intuition is rubbish. Doesn't work. Well, it doesn't matter what path you take. It didn't matter. In fact, what it showed me more than ever was that I had help from elsewhere. Things lined up and synchronized for me. They were tough, but they lined up and synced on a level that was quite astonishing. To the point where I went to Paris and the relationship that I went for didn't pan out. But I got a job, I got a place to live, I got another job, I got another place to live. It was the hardest point in my life because I had to face, I really had to face something huge. And I had a choice, but my knowing and my values at the time were like, no, I need to get away from this now and get back. But basically, spiritually, I was guided, I was helped and looked after more than, well, not more than ever. They're always there, but it was really obvious. So, sorry, Brianne.
No, I was just going to say, tell us a little bit more than about how kind of healing unfolded then. You've got this autoimmune disease, 3 weeks in, you're like, this is for me. This is not happening to me, it's happening for me. I'm accepting this. Let's, what's next? Let's what?
Yeah. So first and foremost, you know, I was given drugs, steroids, and I willingly took them.
Mm.
I had very little choice at that moment because I honestly thought I was going to die. My whole system inside, you know, if thank God for steroids, basically.
Mm.
They really saved my life, and um, so medical intervention was 100% needed at that time.
Mm.
So, and I accepted it. It's not something that, you know, that I would normally, a route that I would normally go down. But again, I had to accept that. Then I had my little intuition thing. And we followed the medical route really
Mm.
at the time because it was helping to a certain degree, although I was a bit steroid resistant and I had to get put on a much higher dose than originally. Um, it it I just had to accept where I was, Brianne. I had to accept help. I had to be. I
Mm.
just had to be for a little a bit. Sleep. Just really not exert myself.
Mm.
And I couldn't. So, yeah, there was a lot of letting go of control. Um, there was, and help came from all sorts of different areas that you would never expect. And it was really amazing to have you know, wow, friends, man. So grateful to all my friends who helped and my family who stepped in initially. Um, it's allowing the receiving as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Being letting yourself receive now.
Mm.
This isn't a time to give.
Mm.
This is a time of pause, of reflection, and of receiving.
Yeah.
So, a very good friend of mine, Angie Litvinoff, here in Tring, she is a shamanic healer, and I'd already met her, um, and she ran a quarterly shamanic journey group and invited me to go. And I thought, actually, yes, I resonate with the Native American Indian vibe anyway, um, quite deeply actually. And so, yes, I would love to go to this group. And she picked me up and she took me. And it was really hard to lie down on the floor. Physically, this is. Um, because I couldn't get up again without help.
Mm.
And putting that to one side, there were a lot of people there as well. So coming in, it was brave because I felt extremely vulnerable. My hair was falling out, my face was red, I was weak. Um, but those journeys were so powerful. And so a shamanic journey, she sets the scene. Everyone's lying in a circle with feet in.
Mm.
She has oracle cards. You pick a card, and she gives you a little meaning, and then sets the intention for what we're asking. So she we set an intention, and then she rattles a rattle and drums her drum, and you go on a journey. The drum keeps you awake on the inside. Obviously, you've got your eyes shut, and you're all wrapped up and cozy and safe, really, really safe. And then you have an experience, and it's an inner journey. And these inner journeys are so valid. They are part of us. Our dreams are journeys as well, and they're part of us. And that was the start of my healing. Very definitely. It's interesting because they were quarterly, and in between, I found it very difficult to self-motivate to do anything, to, meditate. I think I listened to a few meditations, a bit, but it was a struggle because of the chronic fatigue I had, and it was just a struggle. Also, my other thing I decided to do was I went for kinesiology. I don't know. Yeah, so it's a homeopath who did kinesiology, which for anyone listening that doesn't know what that is, it's muscle testing for things that will help you, for example. So she would put lots of remedies on my chest and muscle test for different ones, and she was sensitive enough to, well, your muscles know, your innate being, your cells in your body know what's right and what isn't, and it's our mind and our ego that gets in the way of it on a general day-to-day basis. Our thoughts, we think we are our thoughts. We think our thoughts shape our reality. They don't, actually. In fact, most of the time, we're not even responsible for our own thoughts. Thoughts pop in that can be horrendous and not ours at all. So what I've learned recently is I am not responsible for my thoughts, but I am responsible for my emotions and my actions. So, but the kinesiology is muscle testing for what your innate being, what your cells know is good. And she was fantastic, and I had a few sessions with her, very expensive, but worth it. And that set me up. She gave me some remedies, and that helped as well. But I didn't go back because, well, I had a few sessions, which did help. And then I made progress, so I thought, I don't need to spend the money on that. And the shamanic journeys came into play as well, and that was so valid and relevant. And I had help from other places as well, which was really good. So yeah. And also the motivation for me at the time also, of course, was my son Ben, who was 4, and he had just started well, he was in nursery when it happened, and then he was going into reception, and I didn't have the strength to walk him to school and back. I wasn't able to do it. Other people had to do it for me. And that was a huge motivator. to get moving. I really want to try and pick him up. And so yeah, that was a motivation. And I live in a second floor flat. There are no lifts. I have to walk up the stairs. So that was a blessing as well. If I needed to go out, I had to get up. So that helped my physical, kept me going physically. But once I was up here, I didn't need to go anywhere. So I could just relax. I didn't have to go upstairs to the bedroom or toilet. So, yeah, on a practical level.
So we had steroids, a diet change, kinesiology, shamanic journeys.
Immunosuppressants.
Immunosuppressants.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in a fairly good place right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm in a really good place.
Yeah. What did you maintain?
Pardon?
What did you maintain then out of all those things? What's kept
Diet.
you? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Diet has been huge. I went even further into that, and my friend helped me with. She's a nutritional therapist. She qualified. When I became ill, she was training, and she wouldn't help me. And I was like, Susanna, please. She'd give me little bits, but she wouldn't, because I was too big a case. And then when she finally qualified, she was like, okay, let's do this. And that was so helpful. Completely. There's a thing called autoimmune protocol, and I went on that, and I'm still on it, basically. I'm still on it, and that was 4 years ago. And it really, really supported me. It helps reduce the inflammation in the body. And it supported me coming off the steroids. That was my first goal. Right, let's get off these damn steroids. They're hard. It's hard to get off them. Probably a bit like an antidepressant. That, every time you kind of reduce, you feel it in your body. It's like a withdrawal. But then I likened it to giving up smoking, stopping smoking, which was again a withdrawal, and I kind of taught my body to love that withdrawal. This is amazing. It's coming out of my body. How wonderful. It means I'm getting better.
I love that mindset shift.
So every time, even if I dropped for half a milligram, I would feel it in my body, and I'd feel a recurrence of the symptoms. And I was like, okay, I can get through this. It's coming out. And that's it. And I was able, it took me a year to come off them because I had to go so slow. But the diet completely supported me in doing that. And then I still was taking the immunosuppressants. The other thing that I haven't mentioned was I was put on an infusion. Initially, it's called immunoglobulin, intravenous immunoglobulin, and we make immunoglobulin in our body. And for some reason, I don't know if I do, I need it. And this infusion is from humans, and it takes a long time. I think initially when I started, it was 5 days. I had to go in every day for 5 days. And it was like a miracle. It took a week to kick in and integrate into my body. And then it was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I feel really good again.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gradually weans. So I'm still having that. every 6 weeks, and it now takes me 3 days. My intention is to come off that as well. But last year, I was feeling so good. Something happened. Well, I turned 50, not last year, the year before. And I thought I would deepen my experience with myself. And I bought myself for my 50th a course, a 3-month course with Angie. And it was about, it was a shamanic way of looking deeper at aspects of me that no longer served me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so releasing and journaling. That's when I started journaling. I'd already come back into meditation, so it's one step at a time with healing. Like I said, this big layer starts, like it's a bit like that up there.
Yes.
Layers, and they come away, and then something else reveals. It's like, okay, this is what I need to work with now. And then that comes away. September 2020, Ben went back to school after all the lockdowns and things, and Rob said, right, let's meditate. Let's have 20 minutes together after he's gone to school and meditate. Because Rob was at home and he wasn't going out to work at that point. So we did. And that was beautiful. That was really, really beautiful. And I couldn't sit physically because I like to sit cross-legged when I meditate on the floor. My knees wouldn't, they were like this. And my hips were so stiff. But after about 3 weeks, it all released out. And I could feel the benefits in my body straight away. And I've really felt like I was coming back into myself, coming back into and using the techniques that I've gathered during my life prior to being a mum. I could use those again, and I felt strong enough to use them. And so that was a really transitional phase. Plus, I knew I was coming up to my 50th birthday, so I felt a real calling to sign up to this 3-month course, transformational course it was called. And my intention was, I'm going to step into my power. That's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to step into my own power. And Angie, it was a great course. Angie helped me through that, those stages with, she's a homeopath as well, and she did remedies and focused intentions, tapping, what's that called?
EFT.
EFT. She channeled, and I was able to, well, I will tell you this experience. In the September, after I'd been meditating a little bit, we had a shamanic journey. This is before I signed up to the transformation. And I could really feel my grandmother. Like, she was just in my thoughts all morning. And this was my dad's mum. And did the little meditation, just relaxation before we started the journey. And she was so strong in my field. And when we did the journey, she was there. I saw her there. And I was like, wow, this is so nice to see you. How amazing. And she said, I brought someone to see you as well. And she brought my dad. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. And I hugged him and we hugged, and he was very reticent. And then all my other family members arrived.
Wow.
And it went right back to people I don't know, but they were there in their Scottish clan. And, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was amazing. So I knew that there was help. I
Mm.
knew something big is happening here, and they came through. And so during this the transformational journey, I realized that I had a lot of anger towards my dad, a lot of unanswered questions. He passed away when I was 25. Things that had occurred that were like, really? In me.
Mhm.
And during this journey, this transformation, I was able to really work with him and with my grandmother, and they were there supporting me. And all the issues I had, I asked
Mhm.
and were revealed. And that was such a healing. My dad just didn't, in the physical form. He's a human being. He's fallible. He didn't think that his actions would have an impact on me in the way they did.
Mhm.
He just didn't. So then there comes a forgiveness, huge forgiveness, and a release, and that anger was dispelled. And
Wow. And,
yeah,
and then when all of that was processed through a shamanic journey,
yeah.
okay. And did you feel it
Well,
outside of that?
not all of it. The initiation of it
Mm-hmm.
was shamanic journey, and then the rest came through during a shamanic transformation
Yeah.
workshop, but it was 3 months. So the questions that, I had to look inside and ask myself, and yeah, it was big. The thing about the shamanic way, I guess, is it's just a facilitator, really.
Yeah.
I guess like any counselor, but tapping into more, tapping into the whole energy,
Mm-hmm.
because we are energy.
Yeah.
If yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Would you recommend shamanic journeys to anybody wanting to go deeper into themselves, understand any kind of trauma or emotions that they feel like they haven't dealt with?
Yeah. Yes, if they feel called. And I think I think starting to listen to yourself, having a relationship of giving yourself time,
Mm-hmm.
giving, yeah, you have to have you have to start incorporating something to give yourself time. And if it's, for me, it was that quarterly shamanic journey initially,
Yeah.
and then it was a daily practice, but it built up slowly over a long period of time. Yeah, I would recommend it. Sometimes you don't know you're traumatized
Mm-hmm.
because you're so removed. We're so traumatized that we disassociate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we make up our ego kicks in and defends us in ways that it had to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it learnt, but it hasn't unlearned it, and it no longer is valuable anymore.
Yeah.
This so can I recommend it for, everyone has to make up their own decisions, but I certainly know that the people, the women that I've met who do the shamanic journey really, really benefit.
Mm-hmm. So you say
And
that if someone is called to it, so is that kind of like an innate intuition thing? It's not something you can just think, or listening to you speak, think, oh, that's interesting, perhaps I'll give it a go.
but you'd know, listening
Yeah.
to me speak and feeling a resonance and going, oh, that sounds interesting,
Yeah.
is your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
If you resonate with what I'm saying, go.
Mm.
If you think it's a load of mumbo jumbo, go anyway and give it a go, because actually it isn't mumbo jumbo. Um, these experiences, the elders of tribes and aboriginals, they live for not only in the physical but for these experiences, in inner experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So after my transformational journey, I had a bit of a lull, and something happened in the physical. My mum broke her arm. I had to be very practical, very and I felt cut off again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel this sadness welling up again. Oh, what's going on? Okay, I've turned 50 now. Must be menopause, hormones going a bit haywire.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 3-month cycle. And I didn't do my daily practice, and I was watching rubbish telly, and just went back to, just physical 3D thing. And I can't remember what sparked me off again, but there was something that ignited my intuition again. It must be my intuition, something. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it came. It suddenly came back with abundance, and I was able to get up and do my daily practice again every day. And honestly, last year, the experiences I had on a spiritual level were out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that to
It's
feel so, to feel so in touch with spirituality. I feel like that's something that I don't know if like you crave, but how do you get there? I don't know if other people feel the same. They're craving it, but they just don't know what to do. The usual self-help books or the usual personal developments are brilliant, lots of brilliant insights, but are they taking you to that deep spirituality? I don't know.
they can definitely. I mean, if with any meditation that you do, any breathing, breath work, practice
Mm-hmm.
daily is key.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
That
Is give
routine.
yourself that. It is, honestly, it's the secret.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're doing the same one thing over and over again. every day for 10 minutes or 20. I mean, I think we started with 20 minutes or even 10. By week 3, it was 20 because 10 wasn't enough. I now do 33 minutes, 33 seconds because I like the number.
Yep.
But I could go on more. Sometimes I do. And then I journal. So I give myself an hour every day, if possible, to do that. And I journal about my experience of being quiet.
Okay.
But it isn't really that quiet all the time. I observe my thoughts and let them go. With the daily practice, you suddenly find you can observe, you find an inner quiet. There's a daily thing that I do, which is a shielding technique, and I ground right down. I mean, I can describe it if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you picture a 6-pointed star, like a Star of David, really beautiful silvery white colour in your brain. So in like where your pituitary gland is. And you picture that and you send it down through the centre line of your body and out, down through to your feet and down through the earth. And it's got a trail on it, a blazing trail behind it. And it goes all the way down to the centre of the earth, the Earth star, and you feel this bright, amazing energy you're connecting with down in Gaia, in the earth. And you send your intention. So the Star of David, the Merkaba, is made up of 2 triangles, one pointing up, which is male, and one pointing down, which is female, and they're united. So this is unity, and that's what it signifies. And you send that down, and you send all your love and unity to the earth, and all your love and unity to all beings on the earth. And your star is down there, and you can just start to feel coming up around you, around your feet, in your body, just a lovely feeling, a sense of calm, rising up in a cylindrical form around your body and higher. And you just feel that for a few moments, and then bring your star back up to about 1 meter below your feet. And your star spins. And as it spins 1 meter below your feet, it produces a disc shape. Beautiful platinum white disc underneath. And this is your foundation, yours and yours alone. And this platinum disc emanates light frequency up through your legs, through your body, all through your cells, and you are emanating out through every pore, every cell, this light energy frequency, and it surrounds you again in this beautiful cylinder. And this is your space that you're creating, your boundary of protection, of spiritual protection. energetic protection, emotional protection. So your star's down there, and then you draw the star back up through your center line, through your center column, and out through the top of your head. And again, it's about 3 feet above your head. And it spins and makes a disc of light and seals your container. And then you can send that star up through the sky, past the moon, past the sun, into the galaxy, as far as you can possibly go, into the heart of the cosmos. And that's your connection for the day. That's your daily connection to spirit and your daily grounding to earth.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And we're just going to finish up, Fee, if that's all right, with the kind of question I ask everybody, which is, tell us a value, a strength, a personality trait that you use in a positive way to support your wellness and resilience.
Mm-hmm. So I really struggled with this because I've been intending to write down my values since September, and I haven't done it. And I was listening, I haven't listened to all of your lady who's on YouTube, your interview, but I listened to some, and it took her 1.5 years to write down her values. And I was like, yeah, I can understand why. It's really hard. So I asked my oracle cards, what is it about me that helps me through every day, or wellness and resilience? I'll just get it.
Okay.
It's, I don't know if you can read it. It says star
ancestor.
Star ancestor, follow your, let me read it. Follow the voice of your soul. That's it. Follow the voice of your soul. And that's what I do. That's what's got me through.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been so lovely to have you on, and for you to share your experience, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Brianne. Thank you for listening, and thank you for asking me here. And well, thank you to my guides and working through my voice.